Hello guys, in this video we'll talk about variables and what is variables, and all programming languages have variables, and then I will explain you what are variables in general, because all programming languages have variables and variables have the same purpose in all programming languages. Only these variables are made or declared differently or created differently but in different programming languages, but the purpose of variable is the same in all programming languages. So this is lesson 5 in our PHP tutorial, and I will show you in PHP how we create variables. But before we start, here between PHP opening and closing tag, I would like to show you one example. For example, we say x plus 10 is equal, let's say 15. Okay, now we see x plus 10 is equal to 15. So how much is x? Okay, this is simple school example, and you would understand straight away that x is 5, because 5 plus 10 is equal to 15. Is that correct? Right. So this is pretty much what variables are in programming. Variables are holders of some content, but in programming, in variables, in this variable x, this particular variable holds value of 5, and that's what you have learned in school. But in programming we can put different things in variables. We can put even text in variables. For example, we could add word in variables, and we could add condition, whether it's true or whether it's false in variable, and so on. But basically variables are just the content holders. You can think of variables just as boxes. If you just first time start learning about variables, they are just boxes where you can store some value. And now I will show you how you can create variables in PHP and how we can store value in these variables and how we can display that value on the screen. Okay, now let's go. To create a variable in PHP we use $, and after this $, we can give it whatever name we want. For example, I could give it a number. Okay, number. I will call this variable number. So what we are doing here with this $, we are saying that this is variable, and after this $, we just give the name to that variable. It would be the same as from previous example from your school. It would be simply x or y, for example, but in school you probably had only x or y or a and b, but here we have variables which we can name ourselves as we are pleased, or as we want. We can name these variables and store that. So this, and after we put semicolon, and in PHP we created variable, but we didn't put any value in this variable. We actually declared just this variable. In programming language it's called declaring a variable. But if you would want to add value to this variable, you could add the value in next line or in the same line. But now I show you how you could add value or something into this variable. Let's say once this variable is declared, we just use again $, and say number. Okay, I just called this variable number, and we use equal sign. So with equal sign we are adding something into that variable. We are not comparing this to something. We are adding value in that variable. So if whenever we want to put in programming something into these variables, we use equal sign, because for comparing something we would use two equal signs in programming, and that's as well in all programming languages, and that applies to all programming languages. But if we want to place something in that variable, we use one equal sign, and after that equal sign we could add, let's say, number 345. Okay, and we use this semicolon to end this statement. And here in this line we have added value into this variable. But like I mentioned before, we could do this in one line, so we don't need this first one, and we can just delete it. And here in this line, this means that we have declared variable, so we created variable. We use $, and we gave this variable a name, and then we added a value into this variable. As you see, we declared variable and we added value into this variable, and this in programming altogether, all this line of code, all this small line of code is called a statement. Okay, and now if we, for example, would want to display value on the screen for user on our website from this variable, so we can use simply echo statement, and after this echo statement we use number, this variable's name, and semicolon, and it will display this 3, 4, 5 on the screen. So let's save. Let's go to our browser, where is our page, and you see 3, 4, 5 is displayed on our website or on our screen. And now, for example, you would want to do some mathematical things with these variables. For example, I would call this number 1, okay, and I will give it a value only of 5. And then I will create another variable and I will call it number 2. So we use dollar signs and we give variable name and value. And in number 2 I will store, let's say, value 10, okay? And now I will create a third variable which I will call simply sum, okay, sum. And in this sum we will add these values together. We will talk about mathematical operators and logical operators and things like that in future tutorials, but for this video I'm just going to show you how we can add and display this value on the screen, so you have understanding that how we can use these variables. So we take this number 1 variable, copy it, paste it here, and with plus sign we are adding variable number 2, okay, and we use semicolon at the end. So we use all the time semicolon at the end of these statements. So here in variable sum, which we have created, as you see, I created variable sum, and like I mentioned before, we use equal sign to add something. Whatever will be on the right hand side of this equal sign, it will be added into this variable which is on the left hand side, if you have it like this. So in sum we add all value whichever will be this. So here we are counting number 1, which is 5, plus number 2, which is 10. So it is 15, and 15 will be added into variable sum. So, and now we will output on the screen this sum, okay. We will display this 15 on the screen. So let's save this. Let's go back to our browser, refresh, and we see that 15 is displayed on the screen. Similarly, we can do with string values. And string values in programming languages are to create string values we use quotation marks. We use single quotation marks and double quotation marks, and about those in separate tutorial, like I'm teaching you everything in smallest detail, I will explain you in further tutorials. But for now, let's just call first variable word1, okay, and in this variable we will add value with double quotation marks. We will add like hello, okay, and now we will delete this second variable and we will create another variable with word2, and we will say world, okay, world, okay, hello world. So in variable 1 we are storing word hello, and in variable 2 word2 we are storing name word. And now in sum I will simply add these together. But to add words together or string values, we don't use plus sign, we use concatenation, and in PHP concatenation will be dot sign. So first variable will be word1, and second variable will be word2, and this all will be saved in this variable sum. So it will echo on the screen sum, and you will see hello world will be displayed on the screen. But before world, let's put a space, so we have space between these words. So let's save this now. Let's go back to browser, refresh, and you see hello world is displayed on the screen. So, as you understand, in variables in programming and in all programming languages, they are used for storing data, which we can use after in our programs or scripts what we write further in our scripts, or when we can change these values. For example, I will show you one more thing. When script runs, script always gets, or program gets read from top to bottom, and now we can overwrite value which is in word 1. For example, let's copy this, and here again under we will create another word 1, and then it will say we will store another string value or another text value. Instead of hello, we will write bye, okay, bye world. And you see that here now this value from word 1 will be overwritten with this, because when this variable stores here hello, when it comes here, script reads from top to bottom, it sees again the same name variable, and it sees that we are storing different value, so it will simply store this different value in this variable, and further in the script it will use this variable with this other lately used or latest used value which was added into it. So now in sum variable we are adding by world. There will not be hello anymore. So let's save this and preview it in browser, refresh, and you see by world is displayed on the screen. So from this video just understand that variables are used for storing whether text, whether other values, which we will preview in further tutorials, but for now just understand why we use these variables. They are used to store or take in some words or text or strings. We could add even text like for example by hey whatever, even sentences or loads of text and in variables, like look by hey world, now it's displayed on the screen, whatever. Okay guys, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and like this video, share this video, and see you in next video.